And okay. So since we have time, why don't you kind of fill me in a little bit about him, not like horror stories of his background, but just a little bit about what's going on with him and a little bit about you. So we can.
Sure. Oral's been with me since 2009. And at the time, we thought he was 3 years old. A trainer friend of mine had rescued him from wherever he was, and that's what he was told. But when I got him home, I noticed that winter he was doing something with his mouth that I didn't recognize, and turns out he was sucking his tongue.
Oh,
So I had a dentist come over because I didn't know what he was doing, and the dentist looked at his teeth and said, "How old?" I said, "3." He said, "6."
oh,
So he
wow.
was he was very behind developmentally at that point. He was thin and he looked like a 3-year-old basically. Um, and the person who brought him to me, his name is Bob, and he's a trainer friend of mine. He rescued him, and this one really bonded with him, of course, because he rescued him.
Mhm.
And when he dropped him off here, um, with my other two horses, I moved my other two horses and Oro here on the same day. And poor Oro chased him down the driveway when he pulled out with his trailer. Oro ran after him.
Oh,
And he was, he was, I think, devastated by that. And all that winter, he would charge me and he would run up to me and rear up. Um, and I discussed this with Bob and said that, I think he's just furious that you've left him. No, no, he's just playing with you. I said, I don't, this isn't playing.
wow.
And so he came back that spring and he took Oro in the round pen and, turned away from him for a second and Oro just kicked him in the back of the thighs hard as he could.
Oh,
And it seemed like he felt better. He had been holding that anger and whatever the emotions are. Um, but I also, so at that time I had also brought in a fourth horse who was a Frisian Morgan cross, and they were good friends and they were camping buddies. They always took Oro and Pagan together. Um, we did that for several years, or one of the neighbors' horses. He never went anyplace by himself, and he was fine either way. And then Pagan died. Pagan died of the American Frisians are so inbred that it's he died at the age of 14, but it was like torsion colic
oh,
and or something like that. He ruptured, and I looked up his sire, and his sire died when he was 6 years old from
oh,
torsion colic. And there's a lot of Frisian stallions in the U.S. that do that, and they're all because they're so inbred.
oh, I
Anyway,
know.
so the only horse, so all of these, I have 5 horses here. They all experienced the death of Pagan, but the one who seemed most upset by it was Oro when he saw us removing his body, and he was very upset by that. Other horses, you know how horses can be, they seem indifferent. You don't really know that
Yeah.
they are, but they seem that way. So, so we went on, that was in 2016. We went on from there and, I had adopted this little white elderly pony that I was rehabbing his foundered feet. And so he was here and the two of them bonded. And in the fall of 20 or the summer and fall of 2017, so this is next year, I took the two of them camping together so I could, do the pony's feet, soak them, heal them, etc. Um, and that passed away on Christmas Day of 2017.
Oh,
And well, he was, I didn't know how old he was. I was told he was in his 20s, but the vet said he was a lot older than that. So, and he was a Cushing's pony.
no.
Um, and I think Oro might have known that this was going to be happening. And during that same period, he had colic or something going on for like 6 weeks. And the vet was out here 5 times, treated him for everything she could think of related to colic, and nothing worked until I just took him off of all. I feed a whole food horse feed. I don't feed commercial feeds. So I took him off of all of that, and I started treating him with slippery elm and marshmallow root. And
Oh, good.
man, I would look at him in with field binoculars all day long. I'd watch him, and if I'd see his lip quiver, I'd run out there and sort of palpate his sides, and then he would feel better.
Oh,
and,
wow.
and about 6 and and so then he was partnered up with a third gelding that I had here, and a year later, this was a bad stretch for me personally. On the day after Christmas in 2018, we had a sort of a gentle, heavy snowfall, mild temperatures, and I went out to bring the horses in, and that other horse was nowhere to be found. My mares were running up and down calling for him, and I found him lying on his side. And I always think colic when I see a horse down, and so I rousted him up, and when he stood up, I could see that he'd fractured his shoulder or his elbow. I'm not sure which, but that leg was dangling. And so we lost him that day. So those are the three horses. I mean, they all lost these same horses, but the one who's most affected seems to be Oror. And I've given him homeopathic remedies for this over the years. And after that third horse passed, he became, whenever he was asked to do anything, if I'd go out there with a halter and look in his direction, he would immediately drop his head and take off in a different direction. And if I happened to get him in a halter and ask him to do anything at all, he would just he'd like put his nose up in the air and then pull to the right as hard as he could, dragging me along. And that's where we've been at for some time. If he knows we're not going anywhere, I can get him to, jump in the trailer, and with the right treats and motivation, if he sees other horses doing it, he'll do it. Then I had a trainer here in September, brought one of the other horses back after a short training session. And she knew this horse. It was her dad that I got him from. And so she put a halter on Oror, and he immediately started doing the same thing to her. And she's like a 6'1" tall young woman. So she's not the least bit afraid of things, but she just said, no way, I'm not dealing with it here. If you want me to deal with him, you have to me for 3 months. And I was okay with that, because at that time I was so annoyed and all the wrong things, but I just thought, what am I going to do here? I can't handle him without, I give him something called Dragon Tamer. I gave him some of this earlier in the week, and because I needed to trim him, and that works okay, but I didn't really ask him to do anything other than I trimmed him. Then we walked around outside, and he jumped in the trailer and came back, got a special treat, and then I let him go. So, but I was not able to put a halter on him out in the pasture. I just walked up to him and said, look, I'm not going to force you to do anything here. I need to trim your feet. I'm not going to chase you around. I'm not going to get dragged around. I said, follow me to the barn. And he actually went in and got trimmed. So that was encouraging. But I've had a lot of thoughts swirling around in my mind, like maybe he has some dental issue, or maybe and he's been seen by dentists over the years, or I don't know what, but it's not improving. And, everyone's saying, oh, just get rid of him. Well, I don't do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something's happened. I mean, look at all the things that have happened to him. I'm not just going to throw him off to a stranger and hope for the best. So
I know.
if he can't recover, he can just, we'll just continue on the way we've been doing.
Yeah. And he's about how old now, do you think?
20.
20. Okay. All right. And that's what okay, hold on. I'm just taking some notes here. So I don't have to go back and listen to the recording in case, so I can just jog my memory when I go back and look. So what we can do today, and we'll just see what happens as we open up a conversation with him and see if we can help him release some things. So I really want to open up the conversation first and see if he wants to kind of talk about some of his stuff and if he's ready to let it go. So it'll be a little bit of that process of it sounds a little strange, but it's highly effective, I've found for
I've
just
I've I've engaged animal communicators before, so whatever you
okay.
do is not going to surprise me.
Okay, good. All right. And so all of these questions that I ask, I used to do a different type of trauma release. And what I realized is sometimes it happened too quickly, or it just seemed that I was forcing it a bit. And when over the years, I'm thinking, okay, if we really want trauma gone, it's got to be the choice of the animal, whether or not they want to release it. And
Sure.
it's got to be in the place of, does his environment support him letting go of whatever it is? So I like to do the trauma release in as a process rather than an event, like a one-time deal or a two-time deal. It's an ongoing process, and I'll give you those things that you talk to him about that help him start to release things on his own time frame, essentially. So what we do to start this is I like to have the ability to hold a space for the horse. That's a safe space where they feel like they're not going to be attacked. They can say anything they want to. Everybody's safe, all of that kind of stuff, because that's really necessary in any kind of trauma work, is that the person or the animal feels safe to talk about everything and they don't get in trouble for it. So I want to, that's one of my main
He's
goals
just
here on this.
he's just walking off with his only friend here, so
Okay,
so I should go with them.
we'll do it in a second. Sometimes when they
Okay.
hear about this, they walk off. So as
Okay.
long as you can see him in the distance that he can't go, 40 acres away or something, we should be
Oh,
fine.
sure. Okay.
But
Okay.
a lot of times it's so funny because at the beginning of these trauma release sessions that I do, the horses are like, I don't know if I can do this. And they go run away or whatever. And then once we get going, they go, oh, it wasn't as scary as I thought. This is fun.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we'll do first is we're going to go and do our breathing. And that's how I hold the space. And then what we're going to do is hold that breathing while we go through these questions that we're going to ask him that will prompt him to release trauma if he's ready.
Okay.
So, how much do you know about what I do, or anything so far? Just so
Well,
I
not too much specifically what you do, but just generally that whole. I mean, I know a lot about that stuff for humans, so
okay.
yeah.
All right.
My
So,
husband's a healing touch healer.
okay, good. Okay, so we're going to do one of the rules in this rules. I don't have very many rules, but one of the rules when I'm doing trauma release with the horses is that I don't touch them. I don't physically touch them because what they're going to be doing is processing a lot of information. And if I touch
Yep.
them, then that's more sensory information to process and take some
Got it.
of the things. So when
Yep.
we do this, and I want to make sure everybody's safe, including the horse. So sometimes I've asked a horse a question and they come back and they're angry or whatever. And so I want to make sure you feel safe, that there's, if he starts showing signs of being aggressive or something, which I don't anticipate, but you just make sure you're behind a barrier. So everybody's safe in this process. So you don't have to correct him or get big or something to keep him off of you. So those are just some guidelines here as we start. So we will go through the breathing first. And what this breathing does, there's two aspects to the breath that are really important for me when I'm working with horses, and especially in the trauma work. I want to be able to energetically and physiologically signal to the horse that I'm safe and trustworthy. So one of the ways we can do this is through the way that we breathe. We can change our energy here. So when we breathe in a really regular, smooth fashion without holding our breath, stopping our breath or anything, then that's the trustworthy part. when we can slow our breathing rate down, our respiration rate down, that's the safety part. So we're going to do both of those things in this little exercise we do. And then we'll be able to set the stage for asking these questions here. So
Okay.
if you're ready, what I'd like to do is just start out and get an idea of what is your respiration rate right now. So I'm going to just bring my phone up for a second. So I got a timer. So hold on a second. No. I want my stopwatch. There we go. Okay, so what we're going to do is get our baseline respiration rate, and that means an inhale and an exhale. You'll count as one full breath, and then you're going to count. I'm going to time for 60 seconds. Just count your number of breaths in 60 seconds. So,
Okay.
all right. So when you're ready, go
I'm ready.
ahead and start counting. And stop.
Okay.
All right. And how many?
11.
11. Okay, good. So what we're going to try to do is get down in the range of around 5 to 7. And this is actually fairly easy when we do this breathing. What we want to do here, I want to have a breath that's grounding, that's cleansing, like so that it cleans out any energies that aren't ours. And again, that's regular, smooth, and slow. So the first thing we're going to do is think about getting that energy to every spot in our body. The reason this is important is because we're going to teach him to energetically connect to all parts of his body too, and learn how to breathe in a different way that's going to help him release trauma and feel more grounded, present, and relaxed. So when you're breathing, can you tell me where does it feel like your breath is at mostly? Like upper chest, middle, lower, what part of your body?
Oh, yeah. If I'm not thinking about it, it's really upper.
Okay, all right. So when we breathe up in our chest, we kind of energetically signal to be on alert or to not feel like something's not safe in the environment. So one of the first things you can do with the horses is start to breathe in a full body breath, which is going to signal again that it's safe and that you're trustworthy. So I also want to like I said, get the energy to every part of my body, ground myself with every breath. So when we're breathing now, and this is just going to be in your imagination, you're going to, instead of thinking of a top-down breathing where you bring it in and it goes downward, we're going to think of changing the direction of our breath, which is our energy. We're going to imagine it coming from the ground upwards through the bottom of our feet. This will make more sense as I talk about the horses and how we want energy to move through their body. Okay, so just bear with me on this one. I'm thinking of my feet as that connection to the ground, and that breath is coming from the ground because it's the energy we're going to use here. So that breath, I draw it up, it comes in through the bottom of my feet like it's blowing through an open window. So it's not like I'm sucking the breath in. Interesting, he came. Okay.
Yep.
And just allowing that breath to then filter upwards, or I think of it as swirling upwards or moving upwards into my body, like the way a balloon would inflate. If you blew it up from the, put it on your mouth and you blow it up, it fills outward into that rubber or whatever that is, that's the membrane of the balloon. So your body is like the balloon, and you're just seeing it expand outward and upward when you breathe in. Okay, so in your imagination, this is what you're thinking. And as the balloon, it doesn't have any empty spaces inside. It's filling that whole entire capsule. Right? So this is what we want to do, is fill our entire body with our energy. It goes to every space. It fills in every little nook and cranny, goes to every fiber and cell. And as it's moving outward and upward, when it gets to the top of your head, just imagine that you exhale out your nose a few inches off your body. I'd say I'm usually about 6 inches off my body on the exhale. And I watch that breath go back down into the ground. And then a new clean breath comes in, moves upward in that same way. Gets to the top of my head, I exhale it out my nose. So the first part of this breathing that we're going to notice here is, does it come in smoothly? Does it move up smoothly? Does it go out smoothly and regularly? And I don't care how many breaths in or out. It just has to feel like it's a smooth, elliptical pattern to the breath. Okay. And as we're doing this, we want to imagine as that breath comes in, it's pushing out anything that we don't need, anybody else's energy, any stuff that doesn't belong to us, any stuff we want to get rid of. It's kind of polluting our energy field inside of us. So I just direct my energy or my breath to move upward, fill up the spaces, push out things that aren't mine. They go upwards with that breath, and then I exhale them out and into the ground to be purified again. And then my new clean breath coming in. So in essence, we are energetically cleansing our body every single breath cycle in this way. New breath coming in, trash going out, if you want to think of it that way. And it's just a smooth, easy process that feels really cleansing to your body and your mind. Okay. And as you're doing this, you can notice, is there any place where it doesn't move through as easily? Does it get stuck or sticky? Okay. Can you still hear me on this end?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So we want to clean out or have awareness of any of our energetic blocks, which will show up as our breath, like getting stuck or something in some place, or not moving through as easily.
I'm gonna move to a different spot here.
Okay.
I lost you for a second.
Okay.
I would say
it should still be on the recording when you go back to listen, so you won't have missed anything. We can go back to wherever it is you need to. Okay.
like digging in my pockets and stuff, so I thought
Okay.
I would say that where most of my things get clogged up is my back.
Okay. All right. All you're going to do is direct your breath to see if it can pick up whatever is in there that's clogging. And this can be a process again. It's all of this breathing that I do is my waking meditation. I do it several times a day with my eyes open. I just go through my breath until it starts to become the way that you breathe. You're just directing your body to change the way you think about breathing, so that it's cleansing your body. Okay. Sometimes when we have a block, we can be picking it up energetically from another person or animal, or they can make, we can transfer that to one of them. So I always like to know, when I'm away from the animals, what is my breath like? Is this mine, or does it belong to somebody else? So this is where it's part of the awareness here when you're doing this energetic work. Is like, okay, that one belongs to me, that one doesn't. Okay.
Okay.
So as much as we can when we're doing this, we don't want to bring in our stuff because then they'll copy it or train to that energy. So, and it's okay today, just having awareness of it today. Okay. Does it feel like it moves pretty smoothly through your body, or do you have places where it stops and starts?
I think it's pretty smooth.
Okay, good. This is our number one thing we want to do, is have a smoothness to our breath cycle. Okay. So now what we're going to do is, you're imagining still that breath coming up, moving up through your body. What you're going to do is you're going to direct your breath to move slower. You're just going to tell your breath, come in slower, fill up more spaces, pick up more things as you're coming in, linger at spots, make sure that the energy goes to every spot. And then even on the exhale, I imagine my exhale going slower. I watch it go all the way down, or imagine it. And I imagine it going way down deep into the ground. So I watch it all the way down to some deep place. And then a new breath comes in. And all of this should feel like it's really smooth and easy again. Like you don't run out of breath and need to take a big inhale. You want everything just to feel smooth and regular and gentle and relaxing. Okay. So as you practice that, we're just going to give you, I'll give you just a couple moments here just to imagine that breath moving in slower. And this is all so critical when we do this trauma work. So otherwise I wouldn't spend so much time on this. So it can actually spontaneously cause either people or animals to start releasing their trauma, because it's going to come up when we create that safe space. Okay. And just when you feel like you've got it, where it feels like it's now moving slower, you've got a full, slow breath that's going to every spot, let me know. And we're just going to see if anything changed in your respiration rate. And we'll go through this exercise kind of quickly today, but just know this is going to be one you're
Okay.
going to play with. Okay, so if you're
Okay.
ready, we're just going to go ahead and count your breaths again, and we'll do 60 seconds again. Let me know when you're ready.
Okay.
Okay,
I'm
and
ready.
go. And stop.
5.
Oh, you are perfect.
No, no, just wait, that was 4. 4 on the verge of
Oh,
5.
awesome. Awesome. Okay, you are there. Okay. And what I do when I get to that slower respiration rate, I want to know, what does it feel like in my body? What does my body feel like? So I kind of, as I'm bringing that breath in, I scan through parts of my body as that breath goes up, and just notice, what does each part of your body feel like when you're breathing at that slower respiration rate? And just kind of note that in your mind. Okay, oh,
Okay.
this is what it feels like. It should, and I don't know, you can tell me if you came up with anything in particular that you noticed.
Well, I noticed just a more of a calmness because I wasn't eager to get that next breath.
Okay.
I could sit without immediately inhaling again, and it felt fine. Um,
You
I guess
have,
I didn't notice anything specific in my body at that moment.
okay. What you said is perfect. It's like you get into that as you fully oxygenate your body. This is really what this is about. Is like, as we fully oxygenate our body, we don't have to breathe as quickly, because
Mm,
every cell is being essentially nourished, and so we're not always in that state of trying to take another breath to feel satiated, essentially, in our breath. And a lot, that calmness is one of the pieces that is really, really important on that. So you stated the two things that I really love to hear. It's like that
oh,
you feel like you need to take a breath, and that there's a calmness. I feel like an overall relaxation. Sometimes my feet feel heavier when I get to that slower respiration rate. Um, and people often ask me, it's like, well, when should I do this? It's like, this respiration, this type of breathing, and the slowness of the breath is where I'm at all the time, pretty much. It's a way to reset your nervous system to relaxation when you get stressed, that you go back and go, oh, let me put a moment on my breathing and notice it. And you can set your body back into that parasympathetic relaxation state. If we're exerting ourselves, we're going to breathe faster. But if you can kind of think about keeping it in that smoothness of the breath, the regularity of the breath, especially when you're with the horses. But again, if you, like for me, I adopted this breathing method for my whole life. And it's like, I really don't have to do other things, because it's a waking meditation, essentially.
mm-hmm.
And
Got
I've
it.
taught my body, stay there. And now it feels normal. And when I get stressed and I start chest breathing, that feels really uncomfortable. And so it's really obvious, it's like, oh, I got really stressed. So I'll go back and reset and go, oh, there we go. We're back at it. This is critically important because our horses have adopted stress breathing patterns just like people. So, especially if they've had trauma, like you talk about, Oror has had the trauma, his breathing pattern has probably changed to one of stress breathing that kind of keeps him in a sympathetic or stress mode most of the time. And maybe it looks like a low level of it, but it's still not really healthy. The way you can notice this with your horse is look at how he's breathing. Okay, and I don't know if you can see him from where you're at here. But for horses that are stress breathing, one of the things that will cue me into that is that you either don't see any real movement in their barrel or their body as they inhale and exhale. There's just, it's like stuck. There's nothing, or they're breathing either irregularly and or rapidly back by their flanks. So this is going to be something you're going to notice with him. How is he
Okay.
breathing? Okay. And this is going to be one of the questions that we ask him is, are you breathing? Which means, are you fully inflating your body? And what that should look like in a horse is that their barrel up front, up close to their shoulders, and and the full barrel part is actually
Mm-hmm.
expanding and contracting each breath, instead of just some fluttering back by the flanks, or no movement at all. So this is going to be a critical part of him getting through this trauma, is that he change his breathing pattern to that
Okay.
fuller, complete breath. And we're going to teach him how to do that here in a second. So any questions so far on what we've got to do here? Is holding
Um,
this.
Does it make it more difficult for a horse who's lower in the herd rank to
Um,
change that pattern? Because that,
I- what I've noticed when I've done these trauma releases and we get them to let go of some of their stuff, they are no longer necessarily the low man in the herd. They will start to begin to acquire some confidence and things like that. Then there's more herd harmony. So, yeah, it may be initially, that's why he's getting picked on, or a horse that's lower in the herd, maybe because they're stressed. And if you think about it in a natural herd, a wild herd of horses, if there's somebody in the herd, one of the animals in the herd is either emotionally, physically compromised, mentally compromised, they're going to try to run that horse out of the herd because it's going to compromise the safety of the entire herd. So this is kind of a built-in mechanism in natural mechanism for them to want to oust the one that's going to bring down the safety of the herd. So
yeah,
as they start to become more regulated, emotionally, mentally regulated, they're no longer that threat. So they no longer get picked on. Does that make sense? So
yes, no, that would be awesome.
yeah. So I see a lot of horses really change the dynamics. Either, sometimes the horses are bullies because they're compromised. And so they're attacking all the other horses. We go through this and they relax on that, or they're the one that gets picked on. And then we can go through this and then they can start to have a more healthy relationship within the herd. Okay. So they're not the target then to get picked on. So what we're going to do here is, to the best of your ability, you're going to keep breathing in this way as we go through this process, this slow, regular breathing, full body breathing. And you don't have to do anything more than that. This is our holding space, holding a safe space while we go through the trauma release. Okay.
Okay.
And this is what's critically important with humans going through trauma and things like that, is that they have a counselor or a therapist that holds a safe space that's non-critical, non-judgmental, holding space. Okay, so that's our job here. Okay, his job is decide if he wants to let go of anything. Okay, so is he anywhere nearby now?
I'll walk back over to where he is.
Okay.
I'm worried my iPad is gonna lose power, so I walked back and charged it up a little bit while
Oh,
we
okay.
were talking.
And if we do,
No,
we'll
no,
get to where we get today and then we'll plan some other sessions, because I have a feeling we're going to do maybe 3 sessions with this one.
okay.
So we get through all the parts of it and you feel like you got the whole process and that we've gone
Yeah.
through it all.
One of the other things I've noticed about him is if I've had trouble, like if I've taken him camping and he starts acting horrible, trying just to load in the trailer and come home. A couple of times, a strange man will come up, which I really don't. I appreciate it, but it's like one of those humiliating things. And then we'll say, "Do you need some help?" And at that point, it's like, "Yes." And
Yeah.
the strange man, the strange tiny man in this case, took the lead rope, just gently tugged on it, and Oror followed him right into the trailer.
Okay.
Done that a few times if it's a man versus me. So there
Okay.
might be some
It
some specific that he doesn't.
it may just be the way he's breathing.
All right.
He may, I've noticed the breathing does a lot with the trailer loading, because a lot of times we'll hold our breath if we get stressed about them getting in.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Oh, it's scary. Oh my God. And the other person comes by and they have no attachment to any of it and they're just breathing regular and smooth. And it's like the horse just goes, oh, okay, it's not that scary.
So it's just a coincidence that it was a man.
Yeah, well, sometimes it's funny, men, they have something that's more like, it's really just an energy of, oh, I know I can do it. And so the horse goes, oh, okay.
Yes, I know. Yeah. Yep. No, that's how I do things after I sent my youngest one to training, and mostly I was retrained, and she's pretty good now because
Oh,
I've
good. Yeah,
changed.
right.
So
I feel like a lot of the stuff I do is really just retraining us to think of it in a
yeah,
different way or do a little bit different. And really, sometimes it's just tiny tweaks in the energy that we're doing that make the difference. So, all right. Is he out there?
yeah, he's out there. I've got a different one. His best friend is right with me right now.
Okay. If you can turn the camera around so that I can see him and that you can still hear me talking, this will be good because I like to see what's happening during it.
Hey, can you see him there? He's just standing there by himself.
Okay. Oh, perfect. All right. So, ideally, we don't want him being able to eat, but we'll do the best we can here today, and then we'll see what happens. So we're gonna put focus on four different questions that we're gonna ask him for this trauma release. And what's a great thing is we can do all your hurt at one time too. So that's what's fun about this process is they can all participate at the same time. So, all right, we're gonna just focus on Oro, and this may be hard because he's eating now as a distraction, perhaps. Like, I don't
Yeah,
want to do this. I don't see you. I can't see you. Which horse is with you now? Like the chestnut or is
this
it?
one right here, the buckskin.
Oh, buckskin. Okay, my video is not good. I see the color. You're beautiful. Okay. Oh, is Oro coming away now? I can't tell.
Yep,
Oh, good.
yep.
All right.
That's
Good job, bud. All right, we're going to watch him very carefully as we ask these questions, and we're going to notice all the things that he tells us here. Oh, you guys are all coming in. Hi. It's like, ask me the questions. All right. You're making
yeah.
it hard. You're blocking him. Did he send you over to block us?
These are higher ranking horses. They think I've got something. So
There we go. All right. So
yeah.
what we're going to do, we're going to ask four questions. The first question we're going to ask, and we can ask all of them, anything you need to show or tell me today. Okay, these seem really silly, but they're what came from the horses. It's an open invitation for a conversation. So instead of saying, hey, how are you today? Which is just, they could say, fine, okay, great, not great, whatever. We're going to open up the conversation by saying, is there anything you need to show or tell me? And what we're going to watch for is very subtle indications that they have something that they've stored in their body. And what I normally notice is when I ask that question, they will flick an ear and kind of like gesture to a certain spot in their body. This is where we're going to just really watch. I don't have to do anything other than notice that they responded to that question, and then I say, oh, I see that. And you could let that go when you're ready. If you're ready, you could let it go. And what they're going to do in this question is they're going to show us where do they hold tension or trauma in their body. Because just like humans, we tend to store trauma or stress in maybe a couple different locations in our body. Some people it's their back, some people it's their shoulders or their neck. And when they get stressed, when they have a trauma, it goes to that place and it deposits that in that spot. And most of us don't have mechanisms to get rid of that. So it starts to accumulate over time, can show up as a physical problem later on if we keep that stress there. So what we're doing here essentially with this question for all the horses is, tell me about where you hold your stress. And do you have any today? Okay, and so this may be, again, a little bit hard with this eating here. Okay, Oro? Yeah, there we go. Okay. Oro, is there anything you want to tell us or show us today? Oh, I see that. Thank you for sharing that. You could let that go when you're ready. And when we do that, when we say, okay, I see it, we're just acknowledging it. We're not going to fix it for him. We're just saying, yes, I see you. This is a big part of trauma. It's like they want us to know that they've got stuff, and having acknowledgement is huge. Okay. And then we're going to hold the space. We say, we see it. I see that. You can let it go when you're ready. And then I'm just going to go back to my breathing. And sometimes they'll try to touch you. You're going to just see if you can keep them from touching you. Just go, you got this. And I put my hand up like with my palm facing my face. And like, so the back of my hand is there. And I just lift it up and I go, you got this. Because a lot of times when I ask them something, they start getting anxious because we've actually activated the memory or the trauma or something in there, and they feel it and they go, I don't know what to do with that. And I go, you got it. You could let it go. What I want to see them do is lick or chew, pass gas, yawn, do something, shudder, shake, whatever, something like that.
He did just lick and chew there.
Oh,
He did
good
just lick and chew.
job, buddy. Okay, when he does that, I'm telling him, good job. Okay, because I want to encourage him to feel like it's safe to let go of that stuff that he holds. You got it. Okay, if you stay in one spot while you're asking this question, they will start to sometimes position their body to where you have to look at a certain location. So I'm getting right now that he wants me to look right at his shoulder on the right side. I'm going to say, I see that. You can let that go when you're ready. You don't have to hold that one. That's awesome. Good job. And then we just wait. Okay. And yeah, I try not to stare at him. I just acknowledge it and I kind of divert my eyes and turn my body a little bit to the side so I'm not like directly focused on them. And I just breathe. I just hold that space. Oh, good boy. You see all the blinking? Good
Licking and
boy.
licking,
Good job. Good boy.
licking and chewing.
Oh, that was awesome. This is exactly what we want to see. Oh, buddy. Good job. Good job. To them, I can't tell you how much just this one question means to a horse. Good boy. Do you see what his stance was? He went and squared up in the front, back, and one back leg cocked. This is so, oh, and your other buckskin. Oh, good job, you guys. So this is kind of them showing I can go into balance, mental, emotional balance. Okay, when they square up. Okay, this is really good. All right. Any questions on that? He did fantastic.
Yeah, no questions. That's great.
Okay, this is awesome. All right. So I spend a lot of time on these, like not doing a whole lot. Like I spend a lot of downtime just breathing, holding space. And then I might ask again, any other thing you need to show or tell us? Gonna watch his ears, his expression. A little bit over there. Okay, I see that. He kind of gestured toward the other horse. It's like, yeah, I see. Okay, you can let that go. You don't have to take on other energies. You can let that go when you're ready. Okay. And there's some other things we can do to help him. Here's this guy. Ask me. I want to ask. And you can ask them all at the same time. You can go through your whole herd asking this question and just noticing and seeing if they want to let go stuff. Yeah. Okay. I see that, buddy. We'll just, we'll give him a break here. We'll say, okay, you stepped up. You have stuff to show us. It's also in that right shoulder, huh? Okay. You can let that go. Which horse was that came by?
That was Two Socks.
Tucson?
She's the lead mare.
Okay.
And that one far over there, you see the sorrel and white one over there?
Yeah.
He's the herd leader. That's her father.
All right. Okay. So, and this is, I'm going to give you the chance that you can play with some of these questions over the next week when we do this. So
Okay.
you'll get a feel for it. And then also I like to come back and it's like you go, oh, I have questions about something that happened. Okay.
Can I do it like individually with them when they're in their stalls for an
Absolutely.
hour? Okay.
Absolutely. That would be the best way to do it with him.
Okay.
Or any of them is like separate them off
Yep.
from each other initially. And then
Okay.
just, you could have them all in the, if they're all in the same barn in their stalls, you can just go
Yeah.
through and be in the middle of the aisle and ask them questions and have conversations with each one, and they can be doing their own work, which is really cool. So
Okay.
that would be best. And then if you can take away food while you're doing it, that helps so that they're not distracted with that.
Or I
So,
could wait till they're done eating and
or
then come
wait
in
till,
and
yeah, absolutely. So that's our first question. Is there anything you need to show or tell me? Okay, it's opening our conversation. It's saying we notice you, we acknowledge you. And it sets the stage for opening up for doing this deeper trauma work that I'm gonna give you some of these other questions here and then you can play with them. So then that's the first question. The second question I asked them, are you breathing? Okay, and that means you're going to look at all of your horses and you're going to notice what is their breathing pattern. Are they flank breathing, not breathing very much, rapid, fluttery breathe, or that big barrel breathing, okay, which is our goal, is to work toward their breathing in that barrel. Okay. So you'll kind of do that assessment. And what happens here, and I'll just tell you my process. And if you want to, you can just lower the camera just for a second. I'll go and ask him this question. There we go. Oh, so the pattern for the horses for their breath is it comes up from the ground and it travels up their back end first. So isn't it like when we're riding, we really want the energy of the horse to come from the back end and move through to the front in that direction? Okay. He just changed as I was going through it. I'm showing him, come up through your back feet, move through your back end, through the middle part of your body. You don't have to go down the front legs separately. Think of that breath as a big cube of breath that just comes up from the ground, moves through their whole body. So it encompasses their front legs all the way down from the ground, down their neck, out their nose, under the ground, underneath them, and then back up through back in, through their body, all the way down their neck, out their nose, under the ground. Okay, so you're showing them, here's your energetic breath cycle. Your energy is moving this way. Okay, same thing with them. It's as that comes up from the ground, they're getting grounded every breath. As it moves through, it's cleansing their body of any energy that's not theirs, any trauma they might have when they're ready to let go of it. They're putting all of the, if you want to think, polluted energy back in the ground, bringing up their new fresh breath. Okay, so just like with you, when you got to that full slow breath, that you felt a sense of calmness, that's what we're going to do with the horses, for them to feel that sense of calmness, and that they learn to do this breathing on their own so they can reset themselves if they get anxious. So this question is really important. As I'm doing this, I will stand a distance from the horse, probably, I don't know how far we are now. This is kind of a perfect distance that you're at right now because you can see the whole horse. I'll just run my hand up like as a guide for myself, and I'll run it up that pattern really slowly. So I'm going up his back in. If you're watching the horse and they're not eating or anything, oh, good, there he goes. As you go through this, you'll watch their ears or their expression or something will change when it hits an energetic block in their body. Okay, so this is going to give you some information about where do they store their trauma. because those will be blocks in their breath. Okay. So a lot of times I'll go up and I'm right at the back end and the ear flicks back when I get in that spot. And that's telling me, oh, there's a place he holds his trauma. Then I go through the body. I maybe get another one up by the shoulders or one by the pole. So then now every time I see that ear flick, I go, okay, here's the places I'm going to notice that he holds his stress or his tension or his trauma. Okay, that makes sense?
Yep.
Okay. So I just went through what I do with them is I define it like one or two times. I'll define what it means. When I ask that question, it means they're supposed to think about their breath coming up, moving through their body like that. Okay. And a lot of times horses that have trauma, they almost can't get through that breath cycle because they've actually shut their body off in certain locations so they didn't feel it. And so it can get uncomfortable sometimes to actually take a full breath. All right, so they may get distracted, they may get antsy. Just do one or two questions, ask, are you breathing? Go through their body, maybe twice, and then just take a break and let them go, oh, I didn't die. Oh, that was good. I feel better. Okay, so we're kind of going to ease them into this breathing. So everybody's coming back. He's like, I want to do the breathing. Yeah, there we go. Okay. And here, now that he's here, let's see if he shows me anything. Okay, it's okay. He's showing me now where he holds it in it. Now it feels like it's the left hind in the back end. Yep, and he's licking into it. Okay, good boy. Okay, I'm going to show him the breathing again from back here. Are you breathing? And I'm just going to show him how it moves through his body. There you go. That's a good boy. Good job.
Did you hear that? He just
Good.
released something.
Yes, he did. Isn't that correct? So great. I'm just showing him how that breath moves through. So I'm not doing anything to him other than showing him. Okay. Here's how breath moves through. There we go. Good boy. So see, he can take so much of it and then he's got to walk away. So that was perfect. So you don't go after him and try to go, oh, breathe, breathe, breathe. He's going to dose himself to what he needs and how much he can tolerate. Okay. That was, again, fantastic. I love it. Oh, look at you go.
Yeah,
Somebody,
look at her. She was all sleeping.
oh my gosh. Okay. You wanted to do this. Thank you. Okay. We'll do it with you. And we're going to breathe through. Good girl. Oh, you wanted this bad, didn't you, baby? Okay, you got it. I'm just going through, showing her the breathing. Good girl, you can do it. Oh, good girl. Wow, this is amazing. Good job, girlfriend. So all I'm doing right now is
She's like it looks like she wants to drop to the ground.
I know she does because I've gone into an energy that's really really relaxed. This is the beauty of the breath is she's got something she wants to let go of. And so this is what's happening here. Okay, you got it. You can let it go when you're ready. You don't have to hold that. There you go. See, we see her passing some gas. Good job. Good job. What's lovely about these 4 questions is that you work on your entire herd. Everybody starts to get more cohesive and more connected and more regulated overall. This is as each one of them lets go of whatever they had that they're bringing to the mix here. Okay. Yeah. You are doing good. Yes, Missy. Yeah. This stuff is powerful. Just these questions are, and the breathing are super, super powerful. Um, let's see. I don't want to introduce too many new things to you, but I'm just gonna hold, and we can talk about how I change frequencies and in the energy to communicate different things. I'm gonna go to one. Let's see, which one should I choose? Safety. I again, next time when we meet, I'll talk to you a little more about these frequencies and how we create them. I think I'm gonna do one called safety and comfort here for her. No, I keep getting, I'm supposed to do serenity. Okay. Serenity is the one that drops her to her knees. Okay. So she wants serenity. Okay. So essentially what I do to get to that frequency is that I change my frequency. And then what I'm doing now is essentially broadcasting a station, like a radio station would play a certain genre of music. I'm playing the Serenity station. So I'm just going in, I'm imagining in my own life a time that I have felt that sense of serenity. And my body's going to, as I think about that and kind of go back to that memory of the thing that brings me serenity, my body's going to change now. My breathing's going to change, my heart rate variability, all of the things are going to change in me, and it's going to start affecting her, not because I'm sending it to her, but because I changed and she's interested in that frequency. Okay, this is a big part of energetic work that a lot of people do differently from me, and they send the horse and energy, and I'm like, I will never send a horse and energy. I will never send my energy anywhere to anyone because I don't know if they need it. I will merely change my frequency, which changes that space around me. And if they like it, they will copy that or entrain to that frequency, essentially listening to that station. So I don't have to deplete my energy field at all. I just then model an energy and they go, oh, that one feels good. I like that one. Okay. Or I don't like it and they leave. So again, it's their choice. Somebody else wants some. Who's this?
This is Brio.
Brio. Okay. Brio wants some serenity.
Yeah. She's the one who went to training this summer.
All right. So we may only get to these first two questions today. I kind of want to, if you've got time later this week or in a couple days for us to go continue on. But what I'd like for you to do is like play with those first two questions with the herd, and especially with Oro. And then we're going to open up the next time to going into the actual trauma release. So a lot of times, oh, good job, you're back. You got it? Okay.
Yeah.
Good job. How does his breathing?
He's doing. Let's see.
Good job, Rio. So if you were to look at his breathing now, what does it look like to you? Is he fully breathing? Is he plank breathing?
Can't even see. They're certainly not fluttering. It's the kind you can't really see.
Okay. All right. So here's what you're going to do. Like if you've got him in and he's in a stall and he's not moving, you're going to assess where is his breathing. kind of see
Okay.
like, well, if it's back toward the flanks or maybe just in front of them, you're gonna look, and your first job is to make sure you're breathing fully and completely, okay, that you don't have a block before you do this exercise. Um, what I do sometimes is I then say, okay, he's breathing up just a couple inches in front of his flank. I'm going to put my hand up just in front of that and just lay it on his side. And don't move it, don't scratch, don't do anything. Just lay your hand gently on the side and just tell him, can you breathe to my hand? And you just close
Okay.
your eyes and you just feel that breath until you can feel your hands start to come in and out as he's breathing to that spot. Okay, and you tell him, good job, you're breathing to that spot. Okay, when he gets good at breathing to that spot, just move your hand a little bit forward of that space and ask him, can you breathe to this spot now? And do the same process until you feel like this may be you just go one or two spots in a session, and then maybe the next day he's actually breathing further forward, and then you go, okay, how about here? Can you breathe to this spot now? We're going to slowly get him to start to think about breathing all the way up there, opening up his energy, moving it forward. Okay. And that's, for all of your horses, if you want to look at their breathing pattern. As each one of them changes, they can help the other ones stay in that better breathing pattern.
That would be nice.
That would be really nice. So you're going to notice too, every time a horse gets stressed, they flank breathe or they stop breathing. This is
Yeah,
really
same with me.
yes, exactly. And that's not helpful because it puts us in that sympathetic stress state and
Yeah.
disconnects our brain. And, we want to stay present, focused, relaxed. Okay. And breathing is a big part of that. So this is why this is one of my first questions for the horse. Are you breathing? So anytime in the future, if they're stressed, all I have to do is ask, are you breathing? I'm going to wait a moment. They're going to go, oh, I forgot. They'll take a big breath. They'll start blinking and they feel more relaxed. Okay. So that's
Mhm.
the
Blinking.
blinking part is very, very important. It's going to tell you whether or not they're fully breathing. It's going to be just one of your indicators. If they get stressed, notice that they stop blinking a lot of times and their eyes get fixed. And then you just go, are you breathing? And they go,
This is
oh, blinking.
this is not Oror. This is Rafa.
Okay. So all of them want to learn this. This is all good for everybody. That's
Well, I have to wash these clothes. So there's no treat smell on them anywhere. So
there you go.
yeah.
So what we're going to do you have any questions about what we've done so far?
No,
Okay.
it's pretty clear.
All right. So I don't know if you want to email me or if you know what your schedule looks like, so we can pick a day to revisit and go through the rest of the questions.
Okay, I can let's see. I'll email you so then we can I'll have it in writing and I can put it on my calendar. If I try to remember it right now, I might
Oh,
forget it, but
I'm with you. That'll be
yeah.
perfect. And I want you to
Okay.
play with those two questions with all the herd for a little while here so that you can come with questions or observations or whatever when we meet again. That'll be the most
Okay.
helpful. And then we'll start delving into the end of the trauma part of this with him. But
Okay.
I like to ease into it so they feel like, oh, this is safe. I'm not going to get it. Okay, this is good. Because sometimes if you just go in and go, okay, we're doing your trauma release, it's like, well, I don't really want to do it. This is scary. So we will take it slow, and it's a process. And I've already seen from Oro amazing coming to the plate. I mean, yeah, so he's going to do really good. And what was it? 2 socks? What do you call your other?
2 socks. This
Two
one here
socks.
this is Zippy.
Zippy. Hi. Hey, Zippy. You're very cute
Oh, he's a
or handsome, I must say.
yeah, both.
Very, very handsome. Yes, yes, you. Cool. Um, so all of these first two questions are really just amazing for opening up a conversation that you're listening, you're noticing, and it means a lot to the horses. These these two these two first questions. So
Okay.
all right. Well, yeah, you can watch the weather too or whatever and see what works for you. And I'm pretty open here in the next well, actually this month, because I was supposed to go to North Carolina, but I canceled that trip for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
So my schedule is cleared up and I'm just gonna kind of relax a little bit and do a few sessions. So
Okay. I'll go in the house now and then look at the calendar and the weather, and I'll email you right away.
okay. And what I'll do here again is, let me stop the recording here.